everybody, I hope you're keeping well. Today is Monday the 30th of December 2024. In a couple of weeks I'll be coming up to my first anniversary of starting my homeopathic journey. I'm aware I haven't really done any vlogs on homeopathy for quite a while. I often don't get many views, although there are one or two people who have commented recently, which is encouraging. I just thought I would give you a little update. So in a couple of weeks it'll be more or less a year since I started this journey. And if I think about where I was then in comparison to how I am now, there are some changes. I'm certainly less anxious and more positive than I was a year ago. I also don't have quite as many allergies and intolerances where food is concerned as I did a year ago. So for example, I can now chop onions without crying or sneezing. I had previously tried every single trick in the book. The goggles, the running water, the spoon in the mouth, but nothing seemed to work. Now I can chop onions without even crying a tiny little bit. I sneeze only occasionally. So that's a huge improvement. I can also eat pineapple without any problems whatsoever. I hadn't been able to eat pineapple for a good number of years. I used to get mouth ulcers, blisters and so forth. But by July I realised that I could actually eat pineapple that hadn't been cooked. I was always okay with pineapple that had been cooked because the enzymes change, but raw pineapple I hadn't been able to eat it for a very long time, and now I can enjoy pineapple. That new tolerance has stuck, it stayed. I can also eat prawns occasionally. They're not brilliant, but I can tolerate them reasonably well now in spicy food. But I'm not all that keen on the taste or texture of them, but I can eat them, which is a bonus. Well, I can't eat any other shellfish, nor do I really want to. It doesn't really appeal to me. The texture is not to my liking, and I don't want to risk making myself unwell. I have tried one or two tidbits in the past and not been very well with them, so I'm best staying well away from them. So those are a couple of examples, and there are a number of others as well. I'm still staying away from medications and additives and anything else because I suffer from severe allergic reaction to food additives and ingredients in pharmaceuticals. I don't particularly want to risk having anaphylaxis, especially as I'm allergic to epi as well. If it doesn't belong in the body, it's not going in. I'm hoping that on my next thyroid review, I will be put on another lower dose. I didn't have a lower dose last year, but I'm hoping that maybe this year, fingers crossed. Dan and I have started drinking raw milk and other raw dairy products. We're really enjoying the taste of raw milk, and also organic Jersey milk and organic whole and semi-skimmed milk. We have set up a delivery once a month with Fen Farm Dairy, which is a raw milk farm based in Suffolk. And we also have the organic products and the independent products like Tom Parker cream from Milk and More. And we also are getting free range eggs from them each week. I really enjoyed eating the raw yogurt, which is similar to skyr. It's skimmed, but you wouldn't know. I've really enjoyed eating that from Fen Farm Dairy. And the cheeses have been amazing. There's still plenty left. I bought Dan a little wheel of the Little Bigard, which is one of their award-winning cheeses. They from French cows. I'll put the name up on the screen because I'm not very good at pronouncing it. I am still on my arsenicum album. However, when I had my last appointment with Lee, which was a few weeks ago now, the LM4 and the LM5 potencies had barely any vibrations at all. LM3 still had a gentle vibration, and we concluded there was probably a little more to get out of it, but when I go back next week, that will be that. The arsenicum album has helped me tremendously tolerate any remedies whatsoever, because I did have a problem with homeopathic remedy and found I was basically only okay with the arsenicum album and also crystal remedies. They were the only things that didn't give me any problems. And although I did have one or two aggravations with the arsenicum album, it was nowhere near as bad as the other remedies I had been given to try. I had a bit of a reaction a couple of months ago, so I know now just to knock off the remedy for 2 or 3 days and then go back to the lower dose and build it up again. I'm not sure what Lee will give me to try. I hope I will be able to tolerate anything better than I could earlier in the year. That would definitely be a step forward. The last time I saw Lee, she had another remedy in mind for me, and she gave me Lachesis 30C. Lachesis can be used for a wide range of problems. So for example, if you suffer with your digestive system, perhaps, if you suffer from depression or anxiety, it can be used to alleviate those symptoms. It can also be used for pain in the lower limbs and the sciatic nerve, which for me is really beneficial. It can also help to alleviate varicose veins, which again is good. I was a dancer for many years and have one vein in the left lower leg, but I've felt much better since I started taking it a few weeks ago. I'm still getting a bit of pain in the ankles and the knees, but it seems quite a bit better. I've had a few cases of lower backache in the last few weeks. I've had wear and tear in the spine for a good number of years. In fact, I've suffered from sciatica off and on for 30 years. But then in the family we do have degenerative lower spine, so there is that to bear in mind. Backache in our family is a normal part of our life among a number of us in the family. But it hasn't been quite so bad, so that again is a step in the right direction. I'm feeling reasonably upbeat. I always struggle at this time of the year with SAD. Lee may have given it to me to help with that as well. A little improvement. I'm coping okay. I don't like dull weather, but I think there's always going to be times when I don't want to mix with people. That's just the way I am. I've always been like that. I do like alone time. I don't always like being with people. I think I attribute some of that to my neurodiversity as well, because it can be exhausting when you're neurodiverse, trying to fit in with people and just hanging out with people all the time. It takes a lot of energy to attempt to fit in. And I also think that being an empath and being very sensitive to vibration as well, if I'm in a room with somebody who doesn't have a very positive frequency, I tend to want to remove myself from that. I had a fairly quiet Christmas. It had its ups and downs. I'm glad it's over. And I often think, what's it all about? Because less and less it seems to be about the birth of Jesus and the whole spiritual aspect, and also the aspect of our ancestors who would store things for the cold winter months in order to survive. It's become very much a consumer driven time of the year. This year Dan and I spent very little on Christmas food and we managed really well. And we all fed well and we didn't go without anything. Dan's mum enjoyed herself and we got out and about a little bit on walks. And I don't think you can really ask for more. We have managed to have a bit of a rest as well, which has been much appreciated. Although having said that, I've been very busy with my other channel, Cat Evans Cuisine, mainly dealing with the food activism side of my life and the ongoing Arla controversy. I've been kept rather busy. And I do endeavour to reply to every message that I receive from viewers as well, even if that interrupts my day. I try to do it when I think about it, because there's always something going on and then it just won't happen. I don't really think I've put any weight on. I'm just eating quite normally. I'm not the kind of person anyway who indulges in large heavy meals. I've never been able to digest large heavy meals all my life. It tends to make me feel unwell if I eat more food than I should. And I've been sober as well. I have had a couple of drinks, but not that much really to talk about. I might have a glass of something tomorrow night, New Year's Eve. Then again, I may not bother. Dan and I are going to have a nice roast dinner. But to treat myself, I have bought a GoPro. I've finally done it, folks. I still need to sort out a microphone. I do have one. Dan and I are going to have a look at it. It's still in its box to see if we can work with it at all. If not, I will go and check one out. There was a bit of a clip-on microphone saga last year and I just decided to leave it in the end and wait until the new year and sort it out sometime in the next week or two. Now, goals. I don't know whether any of you make New Year's resolutions. I'm not one for making resolutions, I must admit, because very rarely does one stick to it. Something always happens to upset the apple cart. This year, for example, there were a number of deaths and illnesses within family and friends. My stepmom passed away as well in June. We travelled a fair bit. We had quite a lot of work done as well on the house, and we're doing more work on the house this year, but we're doing most of it ourselves and on the garden. So I don't tend to make New Year's resolutions. However, I do have some goals. One goal is to practice my bass guitar and mandolin a bit more and become proficient. I know 1 or 2 chords, but that's about it. I hardly ever practice. I do practice the piano most days, but then of course I have piano lessons, although I also compose piano music and keyboard music. And so another of my goals would be to finish a piano piece I started last year and never got around to finishing. I also have a percussion piece that I started and I had to abandon due to work and life and all those things, and I hope to go back to it this coming year. It's in 3 movements. I'm on the first movement. I just need to find some headspace for myself to finish notating the first movement and then recording it. It's going to be interesting as a project. I'll see where that takes me. I may just decide to start all over again. I have done a fair few bars, but I'm not sure whether it will sound the same once I go back to it, and it's getting into the flow. That's the thing, especially with gongs. It's getting into the flow. The way I use gongs anyway is more like drumming. I did also buy a shamanic drum a couple of months ago, so I look forward to having a play around with that. The next goal, also music themed, is to finish our music room, which doubles up as a guest room. We're nearly there. Dan just has the wallpaper to put up. We have a rug that needs cleaning and a mirror for upcycling, and then it's just getting everything sorted and ready. So it's a fully working music room. I have got a music stand which we collected from an eBayer, which holds 4 keyboards, because I have 4 keyboards as well as a piano and various other instruments between us. My next goal for 2025 at some point is to buy a new piano. I've had the Damon about 7.5 years now. Good school piano. We've done a bit of reconditioning work on it. It's a really nice piano. I won't let it go for free. I'd like to maybe sell it to somebody locally, because then it won't cost them too much for removals. Colin Batt is the removals guy for pianos here in Thanet. I have my eye on a Yamaha U3 or a Petrov Studio. Petrovs tend to be more expensive than Yamaha U3s. I've tried both out and I really love the Petrov, but I'm not sure how much I want to spend at this point in time. So it may be that I find a decent U3 instead, and I would be perfectly happy with that. We'll see. I have various other things I would like to achieve, but at the moment I am not counting any of those as goals. I think I have quite enough with those to focus on in the first few months of the year. And as I start achieving those goals, I will then maybe add 1 or 2 other goals. I am going to pull a card for us for the new year. I'm going to be using the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck by Kyle Gray. Let's have a look at the energy today as we go into New Year's Eve and 2025. It's a beautiful sunny day today. We have Shield Maiden, make plans and focus. Well, actually that seems very appropriate as we're soon going into a new year. It's the time of year when we do think about what we want to achieve, whether that be a goal like me or whether you do in fact make resolutions and stick to them. So it's about making plans and focusing on those plans, and part of that of course is manifestation, visualizing what we want to achieve, what we want out of life, how we would like to see things change in the world perhaps, and visualize it as though it were a scenario and actually happening, and that is your manifestation. Some people like to do this by meditating as well, or listening to music. There's a number of ways in which we can visualize and manifest and focus. I will read what it says in the guidebook. I really love the picture on the back of all those cards. You've got the four corners and the four elements there on the dial, and the owl. Very much shamanic and Native American. See, time waits for nobody. Time goes round and round and round. And we are but cogs in the wheel of time. Remember that timelines can change because there is more than one timeline. We live in a multiverse. There's lots of timelines. And by visualizing and manifesting, you can change your timeline. Rather like a fork in the road, a two of swords perhaps. You can choose to go one way and get one result, or you could perhaps deliberate and go another way where the road forks off. And you might be stepping into the unknown. However, life, the game of life, is often a little bit of a gamble, and we need to rely more on our instincts because we are all instinctive creatures, whether we use that instinct or not. Shield Maiden is in the section Sacred Ones. It says, have a plan or strategy in place before moving forward. The Shield Maiden is the female knight in shining armour. In Viking traditions, women were seen as equal to men, and so joined them on their raids and fought with them on the battlefield. In this deck, the Shield Maiden brings a fiercely feminine energy. So it's about the divine feminine energy in all her forms. The power to be a warrior while retaining feminine sensitivity. She is ready to put her plan into action. She's ready to go into battle. Her medicine helps us move beyond any unsettled feelings when our plans start to take shape, and follow through with our strategies in order to be where we want to be. Shield Maidens work together in times gone by to create shield walls of protection, so she also shows us how to work with others in order to bring our plans to fruition. So it's about the collective, it's about coming together, it's unity, to work as one rather than individuals. Crying in the wind at times, flailing around, are words falling on deaf ears? Echoes fading in the wind. My words. Taking some time to assess what your next steps will be. All great warriors have a plan. You're a sensitive being, and if you're not prepared for the tasks you are taking on, you could end up feeling exposed and helpless. The ancestor guidance that is coming to you now is a reminder that you have a warrior's heart and that you have it within you to be more prepared and focused than you have been recently. So have a strategy in place and then let your guides support you as you move forward. I certainly move according to instinct and according to how I feel guided to by ancestors and guardian angels and all enlightened beings. Now, I do believe, and I did at the start of 2024, believe that 2024 was the year of awakening, mass awakening. Some of us have been awake for quite a long time, others not so, and we have a large body of people who are what you might call enlightened normies, who are now looking about for themselves and learning quite a lot about how they were manipulated even since birth, and waking up to what was going on around them and what agendas have been playing out. They might choose to sit on the sidelines and not get too involved with warrior type things, but they are aware. And they can also be useful as well as part of the collective energy in guiding others as well towards realization and enlightenment. Now, I believe that 2025, which to me the energy started around the time of the US presidential election, and also in the UK around the time of the farmers' protests and all the hoo-ha over inheritance tax. That was the start of the catalyst, and this was added to by the position of the WASPy women in the UK, as well as other events. I believe people now going into the future, into 2025, this is about taking back what we feel we have lost, what we feel is being stolen from us, whether that's actual possessions, whether that's freedoms, whether it's our voices, whether it's the whole thing around democracy, and taking back what we feel has been lost and getting some kind of justice and or retribution for events that have happened, not just in the last few years, but in maybe even decades gone by. So that's my message for today. I pull one more card just to end on. I feel I need to take it from underneath. We have drum. Bang on the drum. Drum is one of the warrior cards in this deck. And this says dream and journey. So beat on your drum. Listen to its rhythm. Go with the flow. Imagine how you want the drum to sound, your drum to sound. And remember, your drum may well be different from another person's drum. And on that note, I'll see you soon. Take care and bye for now. Happy New Year.